Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Another episode of Tales, Trails, and Taverns. Tonight we're going to be getting back into the Montauk Project because everybody saw Stranger Things, I'm sure, at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I know I did. I know Rob did.
3 times.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about it.
Oh my God. You can't find the scene like perfectly. Like, you know how like they sometimes they release official clips?
Yeah.
Like I tried finding that. So before we started recording here, I was just telling Joe how I saw the Stranger Things 3 times. It still fucks with me. 11's death. I mean, good God.
Supposedly, her death. They did kind of leave it.
Ripped my heart right out of my ass. The montage, like all the, like when they were little kids, Purple. And here's the thing too, man. Like, bro, Purple Rain is literally, if anybody who knows me, dog, that is my fucking favorite song of all time, dude.
Is it? You're a Prince fan?
I fucking love Prince. And like, so like Purple Rain, so it's like this wicked, sad, somber moment. You're getting all nostalgic because you see them when they're little kids. My favorite fucking song of all goddamn time is playing.
Yeah.
And then just 11 dies. And it's like, oh my, dude, I cried. I'm not fucking afraid to admit it, dude. That fucking, when I first saw that, dude, I was in tears, man.
Yeah, it was intentionally heart-wrenching, but it was definitely heart-wrenching the way they did that.
Follow it up with fucking Landslides by Stevie Nicks, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you want me to fucking go through a box of tissues tonight? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you assholes doing to me tonight?
Yeah, so I mean, ever since that came out, everybody's been online talking about Stranger Things and talking about the Montauk projects, and of course, I always get assholes who are on there like, everybody knows it's about the Montauk projects. Like,
congratulations, bro. We've known that since season 1.
Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I should run my post by you before I put them online.
There's always one.
It's super funny, but yeah, I mean, the more I looked at it, especially reading the book and then watching Stranger Things, and it's like you can. There's so many similarities. I mean, we know the Duffer Project. Oh my God.
Duffer Brothers.
The Duffer Brothers took Montauk projects and all the old 80s stuff and drew a lot of inspiration from it. But
dude, even in the ending of like the final episode, Hopper talks about he got offered a job in Montauk.
And that's what obviously everybody talked about. But I mean, there's so much more stuff to it.
Everybody keeps. I don't know if you've seen this on Insta or Facebook. I guess apparently the Duffer Brothers are pairing up for a spinoff.
Well, I know there's a couple spinoffs, I think, coming on.
I mean, so
why wouldn't you? It's such a big show. If they don't try to make more money off it somehow, they should.
Like, especially like the memory of like Henry in the Boy Scout uniform. It's the 50s, and like the guy shoots him, and then he like beats him half to death with a rock, and then he opens it up, and there's this like mystical fucking rock.
Yeah,
that's a story in itself. Where the fuck did that rock come from? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of. I don't know where I get the idea for that from, because that's definitely not.
Well, we all know that Vecna was AKA number 1. So he was like the first one of the experiments.
Yeah.
We learned that in the 4th season.
Right.
But yeah, there's really no explanation to the weird scientist that's in a desert cave, and he's got this magical rock that gives Henry or Vecna, whatever the fuck. Well, let's just call Henry, I guess, or Vecna. I don't know. What's the deal with the rock, man?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, and there's no explanation for it at all. Like all the other stuff that happens in the show, there's a lot of it, there's something to do with it in the Montauk Project Experiments in Time book. Like, I told you to read chapter 11, which is super interesting. And you saw how it basically lays out all of 11's powers and all of the kids' powers. Like, yeah,
dude, not only that, like, so, like, do you have a hard physical copy of the book, or do you have it on Kindle? Like, how do you have the book?
I've got a paperback.
Okay, well, I have it on my phone.
Yeah.
So a lot of, like, the documents, you know how, like, they release a lot of the documents in the book?
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of hard to read on my phone, but, did you see the one picture where it's kind of like a sensory deprivation tank that some girl was in.
Yeah.
So, like, that definitely, like, lines up with the whole 11 thing and the sensory deprivation tanks and the, you know what I mean? The being able to read people's minds. I mean, that was the big ethos in all of season 4, was like, you know, Will gain the power to read Vecna's mind.
Yeah, and they talked about that in chapter 11 as well too. They were talking about not only controlling people and like being able to see through people's eyes, which was a big part of that whole going into Vecna, going into the mind of the mind flayers, or going into the mind of the demigorgons and controlling them and shit like that.
Yup.
That was definitely all in there.
Did they get into anything about, like, heat? Because I know you made it, folks, Joe made it much further in the book than I did. I made it about halfway. But,
I didn't make
Joe,
it much further than you did.
Did they ever mention anything? Like, do you remember how they had to heat one of the demogorgons up to, like, activate it so, like, Will could read Vecna's mind?
Oh, yeah. They had to, like, re-energize its body or whatever.
Was there anything? Well, I will say,
I didn't see that part.
It did, because remember they mentioned, like, it took something like 425 to 450 megahertz of power.
Yeah, so that was another part that was interesting, because they were using those, whatever they were calling them in the show. They were sending out that signal that was blocking their telepathy.
Yeah.
What they talked about in the Montauk Project in the book is that it was pushing out 425 hertz through the radio tower, and that was blocking the psychic's powers that he was testing on. This is how we found out about the Montauk Project, about how Preston Nichols was working with psychics and trying to do other research with the company that he was working for, and he started realizing that this 425 hertz was coming from Montauk, and that's how he traced it back to the Montauk Project and Camp Hero, and then found that this 425 hertz was not only blocking other psychics from being able to read things, but it was also a way to mind control people.
Yes.
You know, it could affect your mood, it could affect what you did, what you saw.
It could increase irritability, increase anger. They tested this because they're kind of like the way, like, Montauk was a secret military base that only a handful of high brass in the military and scientists and people knew about. But, like, to the common Air Forceman, is that the proper word? Airman, right?
Yeah.
To the common airmen, they thought it was just a regular old Air Force base. Like, like, remember how they, like, encouraged a lot of airmen in the 70s to, like, take their R&R at, like, Montauk?
No, I don't remember that.
Well, it said in the book they encouraged, like, airmen to, like, you know, go take some R&R over at Montauk. It's beautiful. It's on the ocean. It's a nice base. It's blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But, like, these people, what they didn't realize was that they were essentially guinea pigs.
Subject to the experiments that were being pushed out, yeah.
Subject to the experiments, dude.
Right. Because they were talking about how there wasn't just the big SAG radar tower, but there was also a huge tower underground that was pushing out these sound waves or these radio waves. At one point, he's talking about this massive underground complex built at Montauk.
Yeah, and the whole project was funded by Nazi gold.
Yeah, and there was...
That's what they said, dude. They found a tunnel of like $10 billion of Nazi gold that, like, financed the entire project. Yeah,
well, they had found this airbase was supposedly derelict and was no longer being used, but they were still spending something like $80,000 a month to feed people, like, just in rations alone was going to this base. And so it's like, what the hell is happening? Like, why is so much money going into this place if it's defunct?
And then what about that scientist in the beginning of the book that, like, he thought he worked at the base, but, like, he couldn't really remember. But then, like,
that's Preston Nichols. That's the author of the book. He's talking about how he didn't know they'd used like MK Ultra style mind control stuff to erase his memory of being there.
Yeah.
Until he started going back, and once he started going back, he started remembering things, and that's similar to, like, because apparently they were taking kids from New York, like from the city, on Long Island, and they were bringing them there. And after they were done doing the testing on them, they were erasing their minds. But these kids have been remembering shit. Like, the more people started talking about it, the more people started talking about, Camp Hero and the projects at Montauk, more people started remembering stuff. And that falls in line the same with what happened with MK Ultra and what happened with the GATE program too, where people go through it and then they forget about it. And years later, something starts to spark their memory, They start realizing stuff.
Like decades later, dude.
Yeah. So much of that stuff. And what else was it in there? They were talking about the guy in the chair, Dustin Cameron, I think, was the psychic who was in the chair all the time.
Yes.
That they talk about in the book. I was actually just watching an interview with him, and he didn't look that old. I wonder if he's still alive, because he didn't look that old in the I was watching an interview from '93. He looks maybe in his 40s.
They said a lot of people that didn't know that they were test subjects, they used methods of hypnosis and shit, and it actually unveiled that they kind of like you said with MK Ultra and the GATE program, that they actually were involved, and it was just repressed memories and brainwashing techniques that essentially made them forget that they were a part of the fucking project.
Yeah, that shit is nuts, man.
It's fucking crazy. I mean, how did you feel about the way the series ended? We're going to have Montauk here, but how do you feel Stranger Things after?
I think it ended good. I mean, I like how they brought it back to the beginning, and they went back to the whole D&D game and the Demogorgon shit from the beginning, and then they kind of opened it up to where 11 could still be alive. That was super interesting. I mean, it made for a good ending. I thought they did a good job with it.
I'm going to say it was incomplete, bro.
I mean, I was waiting for one final scene of Mike growing up and a couple years later, searching the world for the 3 waterfall town, but...
Well, here's the deal, man. If she really is alive, can't she just fucking do the blindfold thing and signal him?
Maybe, but...
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I know they did kind of put that out there where, they were using the amplifiers or whatever, so she couldn't have been there doing that, but...
But I mean, if she is still alive and she's in some town, and it didn't even look like it was America. It looked like fucking Iceland or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Reykjavik or something.
Because it's dude, here's my problem with it. Everybody had a fucking happy ending except Mike. And the entire fucking ethos of the fucking show is Mike and Hal's love.
Right. But he also knows that her being around is going to endanger everybody. But it was kind of weird that the military just rolled out of it. They had taken the entire town over. They were everywhere. They had trucks and stuff, and all these people had how many military members had Hopper killed by the end of that show? And then they're just gonna roll out of town, and nobody's ever gonna. They're just gonna leave him in town and just haul out of there, and nothing's gonna happen to him. He's not a mass murderer of military personnel.
Yeah, I know. He's not. There's no crimes.
Right.
Crimes against Hopper at all, because he did mow down a lot of fucking military personnel.
Right. And I mean, he was at one point he was considered dead. They thought he was gone too.
Yeah.
So how do you come back? Oh, never mind. You can go ahead and just erase that death certificate. I'm fine. I'm back again. I've just been in a Russian prison for a while. That's all.
Yeah. And
I could totally be a cop again. I just escaped from a Russian prison. That's not.
But he also went back to Hawkins, killed a bunch of special operation military members, and then he got offered a job promotion in Montauk.
And then he got to leave Indiana and go to Montauk, and none of that came up on the background check, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So so much of that stuff. And did you catch the part when they got into the center of that ring thing, right? And Dustin wanted to go find the middle of it, and they found that big building, and then all the walls and shit were melted, and the people were melted into the walls and melted in the floor.
Yeah.
Catch all that?
Yeah, well, I mean, he discovered that the Upside Down was actually just a bridge.
Yeah.
That was created either by 11 or by the government, and it wasn't actually an infinite, parallel universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just saying that the building with all the melted walls and people melted in the floors. Like that was what was reported from the Philadelphia experiment when they tried to move the USS Eldridge through time and space and make it disappear from view. Because when they were saying that afterwards, because the ship itself phased out, but the people weren't able to phase with it correctly. So like they got into the walls, they got into the floors, and when it phased back into reality, they weren't all in the right places. Some of them were in the walls, in the floors, and the rest of them were so fucked up traumatically in their brain that they ended up going insane or going into mental asylums and shit.
Really makes you wonder, man. I mean, the show does do a very good job at transitioning a lot of what had happened in Montauk to the show.
Yeah.
It's just laughing, dude. The more I mean, some of the stuff in that book was like kind of terrifying. No?
In the book?
In the book, yeah. Did you ever feel that way? Like, man, they're really messing around on this one. And then there was like paperwork that they found. Like, remember when it was like, I don't know, some E3 that was stationed there?
Yeah.
And they wrote in like big letters, like none.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was trying to
not only was a lot of fucked up shit happening at Montauk, but like they went to great lengths to make sure like it never saw the light of day,
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was super interesting that Preston Nichols, he was talking about how he was able to get back in there and like buy a bunch of the equipment and like take a bunch of the equipment back with him.
Yeah.
And then the security guard is like, "Oh yeah, I can let you in here one time, but like you can't come back in ever again. I can't catch you again." But then also told him like, "Oh, but I leave every day at like 7:00 to go on a break. So just make sure if you come back, just come back when I'm not here." Some of the stuff is weird. It interested me that like in the beginning of the book, he's talking about how, take this as real or not, but this is my experience.
Yeah.
What they didn't really do in Stranger Things was like what they were talking about, how they were moving stuff in time, like making things appear somewhere else. He was focusing on like a beer, and like the beer would appear somewhere, but it wouldn't always appear. It wouldn't always appear in the same time. He could make it appear just about anywhere.
Yeah, kind of like so when 11, the other girl, I can't remember her name, number 8, the shorter girl, the shaved head, and then like when they like teleport back into Henry's memory, jumps like first thing it jumps to is like that high school scene when Joyce is like handing out flyers in the hallway, and they're like,
right.
They go from there, and then there's this very weird play that's going on with like these people wearing like skull masks, banging on drums, and then the curtain closes, and then they walk through the curtain, and then they're like instantly in Henry's house. So there's like a lot of like time jumping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they're jumping through his mind at that point, but
and it's just weird how that played out in the final episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting the way they were kind of navigating his memories, going from one place to another. But yeah, they were talking about in the book how they could make people appear and disappear in certain areas and manifest things, solid things in certain places. Which just kind of lines up with like if she had manifested 11 to be standing inside the gate and then wasn't there anymore.
I mean, how much research do you think the Duffer Brothers did on this before they decided to launch this show?
I would say they spent a lot of time. It had to have been, more than just reading the book or reading the following books, but like probably listening to the interviews with Preston Nichols, probably listening to the interviews with everybody else who came forward and said they had a hand in this project. I guarantee it.
Because they went into this thing like, I'm not even shitting you, Joe, because I've been following this since season 1. They went into this, we're like, nope, this is the show. This is what we're going to do. We got 6 seasons. Like,
yeah,
they knew exactly how and what they were going to do and in what fashion they were going to do. So that leaves me to believe that, like, they probably did years of research on Montauk.
Yeah.
Because the initial actual name of the show was Montauk.
Yeah, everybody Everybody knows that. Confirmed with Hopper saying Montauk at the end of it.
Exactly.
Hawkins, Indiana.
Almost makes you feel like if Hopper shows up to Montauk, is it like a setup? Like, hey, you who escaped from a Russian prison, killed like 100 U.S. GIs.
I think they were just putting in that in there as a nod to the origin of the story. I think if I had to guess.
If they're gonna do a spinoff, though, like what would they do it on? Is my question.
I have no idea.
The origin of that stone.
I mean, that's probably one place to start, because that's not anything that I've seen having to do with the Montauk Project. That stone and whatever that thing was. I mean, obviously the Demigorgon coming out in the first episode and taking Will, that's definitely from the experiments that Preston Nichols said they did at that Camp Hero, when they were talking about, apparently there was a time when they left the machine on with the psychic in the chair. They left the chair on for too long, and then a creature came from another dimension and came into Montauk and was causing havoc. And apparently they couldn't get the creature to go away until they shut off power to the base.
The creature, fucking creature is fun. Does the creature line up with the creature that washed up on the beach?
Talking about the Montauk Monster?
Yeah.
So that's another. I think that's a whole different thing, because the extra dimensional monster that shows up in the Montauk Project and essentially shows up in episode 1 of Stranger Things is like a extra dimensional creature, right? It comes from somewhere else. It was described anywhere from 6 feet tall to 15 feet tall, and it was, spikes on it or hairy. It was described by a bunch of different people in a bunch of different ways and caused a shit ton of chaos until they shut the chair down. They shut the base down, essentially. They had to cut all the power off. The Montauk Monster is a real thing. It's a creature that washed up on shore in 2008 in Montauk, and people thought it was an experiment from Plum Island, because Plum Island is the place where they do the animal biological weapons testing, essentially. So people think that it's a creature that escaped from Plum Island. That's a normal creature that's been tested and maybe changed somehow, and then got caught in the currents and came over from Plum Island to Montauk.
And then what happened with the doctor that was literally, okay, so that's, I don't even know where to fucking begin with that. But what about the doctor that they kept mentioning that, like, even though he was like living a normal life and walking around, like they did like a CT scan to him and like he was considered legally brain dead?
Which one was that?
You know what I'm talking about, right?
That was that in the book? The brain dead doctor?
Yeah, like essentially like they experimented on him so much that like the oxygen levels to his brain was that of somebody who should be legally brain dead.
I do remember reading about that, but I don't remember what his name was or the whole story.
But he was still walking and talking and like conscious, like a conscious human being, like he wasn't a vegetable at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They essentially fried his brain.
I wonder if that was the psychic, the one who they kept putting in the chair.
Could have been.
Okay, so chapter 15 starts talking about the encounter with the beast. So I hadn't actually gotten to reading chapter 15. So on August 5th, 1983, they were given a directive to run the transmitter nonstop because they were trying to connect with the USS Eldridge, because the Philadelphia experiment was August 12th, 1943. And so they believe that time travel happens in 20-year blocks, essentially.
So in 63, they tried it again?
I don't know if they tried it in 63, but in 1983, they tried to reconnect with the Eldridge. And so on August 5th, they started running the transmitters. And so they described these transmitters in this chair as essentially a pyramid type thing that pushes energy through, and they got to calibrate it. He talks all kinds of shit about having to calibrate this thing and getting it to do what they want it to do. It says they want to do it on the exact date because of the 20-year biorhythms of planet Earth. And so Duncan from 1943 appeared and could be seen through the time portal along with his own brother, because both were crew members of the USS Eldridge. So essentially they started running the transmitters on August 5th. They opened up a time portal from 1983 to 1943 to the USS Eldridge. And Duncan, who was the psychic, essentially was living a second life because he was a crew member on the USS Eldridge, one of the two brothers who disappeared from the Eldridge and was transported to another space and time.
Well, you know what's crazy? And I'm not going to get too off topic here.
Yeah.
When I grew up, I was obsessed with Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, yeah?
Do you remember that show?
Oh, yeah. Was the Philadelphia Project in there?
Yeah, dude. But you know what's fucked up, man?
What's that?
So you can go on Paramount Plus and buy the entire Unsolved Mystery, like the one from like Robert Schaff, like way back in the day.
Yeah.
And dude, I shit you not. I remember I was either 9 or 10 years old. I was a young kid. I was about your boy's age.
Yeah.
I was like 9 or 10, and I swear to fucking God, I watched an episode with my father about the USS Eldridge and the Philadelphia Experiment. Right? I bought the package that quote unquote had every single episode of Unsolved Mysteries ever made. And fucking you cannot find that fucking episode on the USS Eldridge. You can't find it, dude.
Huh.
I've tried so many times to find that fucking episode.
And you remember watching it, though?
It's clear as day. I remember being a little kid watching that fucking episode because it terrified me. It showed the experiment, and then it showed like the aftermath, and it showed people like stuck inside walls and screaming, and like one guy like teleported to like a bar like in the 1970s. Like, yeah, it was one of those episodes that definitely like left an impression on me. And now that I own like I said, quote unquote, the whole package, I cannot find that one fucking episode on the USS Eldridge.
That's something to probably try to Google.
It makes you wonder, like, did somebody see that and like, yeah, that episode's got to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in this particular chapter, they're talking about how they decided they'd had enough of the experiment, right? They decided to shut it down. They were doing the time portal thing, trying to get in touch with the USS Eldridge. They opened the portal. And then they finally decided they were going to shut it down. And so somebody approached Duncan while he was in the chair and said the code word or the code phrase, which is whispering, "The time is now." And it says, I'll read you this one paragraph. It says, "At this moment, he let loose a monster from his subconscious, and the transmitter actually portrayed a hairy monster. It was big, hairy, hungry, and nasty. But it didn't appear underground in the null point. It showed up somewhere on the base. It would eat anything it could find, and it smashed everything in sight. Several different people saw it, but almost everyone described a different beast. It was either 9 feet tall or 30 feet tall, depending on who saw it. I personally believe it was about 9 or 10 feet in height. Fright does strange things to people, and no one was sure what the exact physical constitution of the monster was. No one was in any frame of mind to calmly and collectively analyze its exact nature." So at this point, and then Preston had to go and shut the generators off. They told him to kill the power to it, and they killed the power, and it still wouldn't go away, so they had to... Says he had to grab a blowtorch and go cut the main power to the base, essentially, in order to get the transmitters to shut off and to send this monster back to wherever the fuck it came from.
Was anybody attacked or injured or killed?
It just says it would eat anything that it came in contact with. Doesn't say if it actually killed anybody.
Sounds a lot like the fucking Demogorgon.
Yeah. I mean, in the first, I don't know how long it's been since you watched the beginning of Stranger Things, but in the first episode, you just find a scientist. They show a scientist like running out of the building and getting attacked by something that you can't see. And then you see like the dark figure kind of creeping through the woods and following Will and then stalking him into the shed. And then, you don't see it, but it takes Will before 11 shows up.
Yeah, and Will gets dragged into the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So there was all kinds of other stuff in there, especially about the taking the kids to experiment on. That was another part of the Montauk Project where they had kids who were working for them in the city trying to recruit other kids so that they could take them back to the base and do the experiments on and send them forward or backwards in time. Kids that people wouldn't miss, essentially. It's the same thing they did with
the Rainbow Room.
According to him, yeah, that was another one. But according to him, that they would pick up winos off the street, drunks, homeless people, sober them up for a couple weeks, and then open a time portal and send them through, and for them to report back what they found. And so they weren't actively trying to push people through portals and not get them back. But if they couldn't get back, they weren't looking for them either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like MK Ultra shit. It's like, let's prey on the most vulnerable people.
Yeah. And apparently, when they were doing the kids too, they had a spot that they would send them to in the future. I think they said something like the year 6037 or something like that. They would send the kids to the future, and there was some sort of post-apocalyptic place where there were no people, but there was a statue that they had to go find the statue and describe it, and that would tell them whether or not the kids were ready to do the time travel thing and go to other places. I'm not sure exactly what they were trying to do with the time travel. Whatever it wasn't good stuff. You know what I mean?
Man, this is a rabbit hole that I feel like it just doesn't end.
Yeah. They got a picture of the beast in the book. Do you know this?
No, I do not. Does it look similar to a Demogorgon?
No, it just looks like a dark shadow person in the woods.
I do remember that, though, in the first episode. It was they were at Hawkins Lab, and the scientist was running and, went to the fucking elevator, and then, all of a sudden he got, yoked up, and then that. Then it goes to the kids playing D&D. But, I do vividly remember that in the first episode.
Yeah.
There's, bloodshed everywhere, and fucking this, scientist who was, freaking out, running down the hallway, trying to use the elevator, and he got snatched before, the elevator door closed.
Yeah, it's got a picture here. It says, this photo was taken in 1986, well after the Montauk Project climaxed. It appears to be a giant beast. However, there was no such beast when the shot was taken. This would be a phantom phenomenon of some sort. Barring a more natural explanation, the structure is an underground bunker that is approximately 12 feet in height. So that's kind of interesting. So I don't know how much of that. There's even got a blown up picture of the beast on the page after it. Kind of hard to see on this camera. But
maybe we should the cover art for the episode.
What's that?
Use that as the cover art for this episode.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, all the different projects and stuff that this kind of overlaps with. Especially with the Philadelphia, MK Ultra.
Doesn't this make you and they use a lot of theories from Nikola Tesla?
Tesla is talked about in the book quite a bit.
Yeah, he is. Quite a bit. And it's yeah, it'd be cool to be a super genius, but when you read shit like this, doesn't it make you think good God, thank God I'm just a normal Joe?
Just a regular person. I'm not devising coils and fucking pyramid structures to travel through time.
I'm not some 6-year-old with 145 IQ that they fucking recruited and fucking made me do all this crazy shit. Which probably has happened, dude. You know what I mean?
Oh, it definitely has happened. The government wants the smart people. I'm sure they put them through all these different programs and all kinds of crazy shit, experiment on them. I mean, we've seen, how many times have we seen the government experimenting on people and the things that we've investigated and looked into?
Wow.
You know?
Especially during the whole Cold War era.
Yeah. I mean, it's leave the kids alone, man. What the fuck?
I mean, fucking one of the most iconic speeches of all time is Dwight D. Eisenhower's fucking commencement speech when he talks about the military-industrial complex, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the first time that, the general public became hip to something that they were not aware of. You know what I mean?
Right. All the ideas that fucking...
And it seems like, another funny thing is it seems like Kennedy was against a lot of this shit, dude. I've read 2 books on the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
And he was not a fan of these NSA or CIA secretly run programs. He knew that they did not have the best intentions in mind. And he until the day he died, fought strongly against these organizations. You know what I mean? His very short time in office.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk in this thing about different types of aliens building some of this equipment, too.
Oh, yeah. I remember the book talking about aliens.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Different types, too. Not just 1 or 2 types of aliens, but several different types, races of aliens from different planets or different solar systems. It's funny because a lot of it is very believable, but then sometimes you read a certain part and you're like, okay, is it still believable, or am I just following? You got to suspend your disbelief in some of this stuff. I don't know.
I mean, there's always going to be people that exaggerate or blow things out of proportion, but then that doesn't because even in the paranormal, there's people that exaggerate shit, but then there's people that they have nothing to gain by telling you what they saw or experienced.
Right.
And it's yeah, I believe in it, but some people kind of make it out to be more than it is, and then that doesn't dismiss it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, this guy, obviously, Preston spent a lot of he got into the limelight when he put this book out, when he started doing interviews. But like it's pretty obvious to tell when you sit down and you listen to his interviews, like some of this shit is fucking out there. Some of this shit sounds cuckoo bird fucking crazy, but he obviously believes in what he's talking about.
Did you get the vibe that like he was trying to unearth something that he felt like the general public should know? Or did you get the vibe that he was doing it for the fame? What was the vibe? Because I've never seen any of his interviews you have. I mean, what vibe do you get from him?
It seems like he wants to, not only does he want to expose this as like for what it is, like the truth about it, but he also wants to uncover the reality of it, like his own reality, because it was obviously that, he dug a lot of this stuff out of his own thoughts. Like he found a lot of this stuff by diving into his own head. So I mean, maybe he's trying to gain peace of mind by being like, what the hell have I been through?
And he could only remember things after like extensive sit downs with like hypnosis sessions and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and he was talking at the beginning, he was talking about how he was finding this weird stuff where he'd been somewhere else when he was supposed to be one place, but he was in another place for a while. Like he wasn't really understanding it, and he traveled to this building that, he thought, I can't remember exactly what it was that lured him into.
He had never been there before, but he found a desk like with
he found an office and shit like that. Like he had a key card, and he just walked into this building, and they didn't stop him. They recognized them, but he'd never been in there before.
Which makes me wonder. So I wonder if they're making these people do this shit, right? And then like maybe not every day, but like maybe every couple of weeks, they like whatever they experimented or discovered, they just like totally like brainwashed it out of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It pretty much sounds that way, yeah, because they were, this guy thought he was living a pretty normal life until, I mean, saying normal, but he was also testing with psychics when he realized that they were losing their psychic ability at a certain time of day, and then he realized that it was coming from this one specific frequency, and he found the frequency coming from one specific place, which was Camp Hero. And then he started going on there because, it was supposed to be derelict, but it was still running power, and there were still people there, and, they were still had a budget.
They had a military presence, even though it was supposed to be default.
They had a military presence. They had a budget for food and housing and shit, and they still had people there. They still had offices.
I know you've done more homework on Montauk than me, because you actually went to the base. When was it actually, quote unquote, abandoned?
I want to say it was abandoned in the 70s or 60s, because it didn't stay much longer after World War II. I mean, it was turned into an Air Force base in World War II, and it was designed to look like a fishing village. And then after that is when they started using the radar from that big tower, the SAG tower, and then it was defunct. I know it said it in the book somewhere.
Also, too, man, what's up with ITT involved in this? You ever notice that? Like that company came up a lot.
Yeah.
They had to build a very specific computer that like didn't exist on the planet, that was only made for that base, so when they were reading the mind of whoever was in the chair, you could get exact images of like what was going through their mind at that point in time. I mean, that's fucking very high-tech shit for like the 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you say that now in 2025, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's believable. Like, fucking in the 70s, dude, 50 years ago? Like,
yeah,
that is insane technology for, like, that time period, dude.
It is, yeah. He said he started working in the book he says BJM, but it's actually supposed to be AIL, or Airborne Instruments Laboratory, back in 71. And then he said in 74 was when he noticed the phenomenon of it. The psychics that he was working with losing their psychic abilities every day because of this 410 to 420 megahertz cycle.
Which brings up the thought, like, were they brainwashed every day to forget everything that they did?
Yeah, and that's what that megahertz cycle was what led him to the SAGE radar. I kept saying SAG radar, SAGE, SAGE, but he he wasn't able to find anything about the antenna until 1984 when somebody was able to get him onto the base.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many moving parts here. I don't.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, dude.
There's a lot of stuff you can find too on YouTube about people who have gone into Montauk or gone into Camp Hero and like gone into the radar. There was obviously urban explorers back in the day too, and so there's a lot of like camcorder videos of people being in the tower and near the radar.
I've seen YouTube videos of people urban exploring inside the buildings.
Yeah,
like 100.
In one of them, I noticed that they went inside the building where the radar tower was, where the Sage radar was, and they get inside of there, and there's this big, huge piece of equipment, and you can't exactly see what it is because this is old camcorder stuff, but it says Philadelphia across the side of this piece of machinery. Like it clearly is stamped Philadelphia. It's like was that part of that thing that they're trying to reach the USS Eldridge with back in '83?
Which, like you said, they were trying to reach in '83, so that means the base was still functional, no?
I mean, by '83 it was defunct. By '83 it was not being used anymore. So there should have not been anybody there.
Air quotes though on that.
Yeah, I mean that's the time.
Like defunct, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was 1984. The General Services Administration attempted to sell the entire facility to real estate developers. So it was clearly not being used by 1984. Apparently, hey man, look, they've got a guy in a chair. They turn it on. The giant monster jumps out, starts running amok in the town. They're like, no, get rid of this thing. Fucking sell it. We don't want it anymore.
Dude, there has to be something fucked up because it's like, dude, any real estate developer on any like coastal front will fucking kill somebody to be able to develop. Like,
oh my god, Camp Hero too. That space where it is on Montauk, like that is all oceanfront. It's all up there overlooking the water. It's gorgeous.
Like, if real estate developers weren't willing to jump on this, like, what the fuck was really happening? Because most real estate developers will always jump on oceanfront property.
I mean, seriously. What's interesting is that the Wikipedia article doesn't say when it was defunct. It doesn't say when it was shut down.
Which that's why I'm saying, like that. Remember they mentioned in the book that there was like two parts to the facility. It was like the main part, but then there was like an underground like basement part that was like.
Yeah, I've read that there's supposedly miles of tunnels underneath Camp Hero.
Yeah, with like 5-foot walls of cement. Like,
yeah,
like there was a massive operational underground bunker in that place.
I wonder if that's part of the reason why they couldn't get rid of it.
I would love to have an interview with the Duffer Brothers and not so much talk about Stranger Things, just be like, yeah, what do you know about Montauk? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what do you know that you're not telling us? What have you found out?
I wonder if they've been approached
by the government?
Yeah. I
don't know. You wonder if they were like, hey, this is a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, this is a little too on the nose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is a little too spot on. I did recently talk to somebody from Montauk. I don't want to say exactly what they got going on, but apparently he knows. He said his sister was the one who found the Montauk Monster, so I'm interested in talking to this guy a little further.
Oh my god, you got to get that guy on the fucking podcast.
I asked him if he would, so we'll try to work that out.
Keep his identity, like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think he's working on a product that is going to be named the Montauk. I don't want to say everything. I don't want to say too much because I'm not really sure. I know he's dropping stuff. So
I get a knock on my door.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Nothing crazy like that. Nothing out of this world. I think he's inspired by the whole Stranger Things and the Montauk Monster to put something out there. I'll tell you about it after we get off this because I don't want to say too much on air right now until I know more and I can talk.
Yeah, no.
It's nothing crazy, nothing weird. It's interesting and it should be fun to talk about. I want to hear more about the Montauk Monster because, like I was saying before, I was listening to that audiobook called The Montauk Monster, and it was a fictional narrative about the Montauk Monster and about Plum Island and stuff like that. But it was really weird that I was in Montauk and I was listening to this book and they're describing the roads and shit in Montauk, and I'm like, I'm driving down these roads right now, and like you could see it all as I'm passing through it. And then I got to the ferry at Orient Point, and they were talking about the ferry to Plum Island. I literally like just drove by the ferry to Plum Island on the way in there, and then we jump on the ferry, and like the ferry from Orient Point has to go around Plum Island to get to New London. So I'm standing out on the back deck of the fucking ferry, just taking a couple videos of Plum Island. You can see the huge facility on the north side of the island. It's super cool. So who the hell knows? In that book, in that audio book, they were talking about the way they did it was that Plum Island was making monsters as weapons for war, essentially, and that they were carrying a disease that would essentially melt people when they came in contact with it.
Yeah, well, I don't know too much about that, but I remember one of the theories that was trying to be hammered was in the book that we read was the ability to make a enemy surrender without even having an actual conflict of war with the enemy.
And I mean, isn't that everybody's objective is to make the enemy surrender with the least amount of casualties?
You would think, but there are companies out there that sadly make billions of dollars on war. We won't go down that rabbit hole.
Well, I was gonna say, point to the wars that are happening now and say like, yeah, that's not what a lot of people do. Contrary to the current wars that have been going on for years. Yeah. All right.
Well, that was wacky.
This has all been very interesting. This whole Montauk Project and Stranger Things and.
Please leave comments on this one because, like, we went down many rabbit holes. What do you think about the ending of Stranger Things? I genuinely am concerned of like what the general consensus is of that.
What do you mean as to whether 11 is alive or not, or?
Yeah. And if they do a spinoff, is she going to be involved? Is Hopper going to be involved?
Yeah, I mean, was the entire thing just a game of D&D?
Dude, you say that, and like, you know what's crazy? You say that. My nephew had the same theory.
Yeah, that the entire thing is just
was
a game.
Just been a game of D&D
that Mike has built over the years. They brought other people in over time. I mean, maybe they brought Eddie in, and Eddie was a character for a while, and then he graduated high school and he left, and that's why they had to kill Eddie off.
You know what's fucked up? When Joyce was cutting Vecna's head off, they didn't have any flashback for Billy. What about poor Billy?
They did not have any flashbacks for Billy. No, they didn't give a fuck about him at all.
I mean, he was pretty pivotal in season 2 and season 3.
I don't know why they didn't bring him back. Like, they brought him back.
He got killed ruthlessly in the third one.
Didn't 11 die ruthlessly? Didn't Hopper die ruthlessly?
Allegedly.
Didn't Vecna die? Fucking
allegedly.
Viciously, ruthlessly. Didn't the Mind Flayer die?
Like I said, everything right now is allegedly, Joe. At this point,
it's all just a game made up by the Duffer Brothers.
Theory too that Mike's mother was potentially Henry's sister.
Mike's mother was Henry's sister. No.
Yeah. Because she's the only one that survived when Henry freaked out and killed his mom and his father, and like essentially the entire family, except that he did not kill his sister.
Huh.
His sister was the one that went to the police and they, quote unquote, arrested him, but then he ended up, in the hands of the government.
Yeah.
So there's also a lot of theories floating around that Mike's mother was actually Henry, aka Vecna's little sister.
Huh.
You haven't heard that theory yet?
No, I hadn't heard that one. That's interesting.
And we'll start watching some YouTube videos because that theory's been going around for the last 3-4 days.
Wouldn't you have known from the names? Like, wouldn't the names have given it away?
I mean, I don't know. Because she has a name, but her last name is not her maiden name. So, like, you know what I mean? You don't know what her name was before it was Mrs. Wheeler.
They didn't give Mrs. Wheeler a first name?
I mean,
I don't remember.
I don't remember what her first name is, but I'm just saying, like, that was a thing it was shown in the fourth one when he like freaked out and he killed his mom, killed his dad, he killed the little baby in the fireplace.
Yeah.
But he for some reason, he spared his little sister. And his little sister is the one that went to the cops and reported him. So there's a lot of theories floating around on YouTube right now that, like, you know, Mike Wheeler's mom was Henry's sister.
Huh. Well, let's see. Her name was Karen in the thing. Henry's sister. Yeah, they gave him different names, so I don't know how far that one's gonna go. Unless they changed it. I mean, you could spin it that way. I don't think that's a connection they were trying to make. That's just my 2 cents.
I'm just saying it's something that I've heard.
It's
going around in the YouTube world right now.
Yeah. That's always fun.
Yeah.
It's weird though that they would take all kinds of kids that were like, you know, the government was taking kids that didn't have any backgrounds, that didn't have any family, and then they would take this kid who clearly has not only family but has a criminal record and all this other stuff. But I don't know. Maybe that's where they started, was with old Henry. I don't know.
Well, Henry was number one, dude.
I know there's going to be like all kinds of different conspiracies, and there's going to be all kinds of fan theories for forever. There's already like people already putting out like AI made endings where Mike finds 11 and everybody lives happily ever after.
I've seen those, dude.
I think Billy should become the new Vecna. Like,
well, they kind of did. Like they, I forget what the fuck it was, but something was controlling him in the third one, and he was like building an army. Remember?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a good show.
The fucking great show, man. Like, this has got to be in the top 5 of all time. This is right up there with The Sopranos. I think, as far as like greatest shows ever, wouldn't it be safe to say that Stranger Things is in the top 5?
It's probably up there. As a good show. It is a pretty good show. There were some parts when it was like, yeah, man, I don't know. Some of it didn't make sense.
People complained about season 5, like the final battle wasn't long enough. It's like, bro, we've been following these people for the last 10 years. Like, yeah, they need, 45, 50 minutes to like unpack how these people's lives end. There's character depth here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It was kind of neat that they did that. That they like spent the last, because I mean they killed the Mind Flayer and they killed Vecna, and I was like, wait, this is awfully. There's no way, and I stopped it for a minute. I was like, holy shit, we're only halfway through this episode. Like we've got a lot of shit to continue going on here. Somebody also pointed out what's funny is that Will, after he leaves, what is it? They basically say that after he leaves Hawkins, he goes to Milwaukee, and so he's going to gay bars in Milwaukee in the 80s. And they were like, who else was going to gay bars in the 80s in Milwaukee? Jeffrey Dahmer.
I saw that picture on Facebook and it had me laughing my ass off.
That was so funny. Will and Jeffrey Dahmer in a gay bar in Milwaukee.
Hey, want to make some money? Just take some pictures.
Man.
Dude, that fucking poor bastard who played Jeffrey Dahmer, I don't think he's had a role since, dude.
He's playing a bunch of stuff.
Has he really?
Yeah, he's...
I thought he got like typecasted like hardcore because of that series.
No, he's been in all the American Horror Stories shows. He's one of the X-Men. I mean, he's
Well, I'm glad he's had a prominent career.
Yeah, I don't think being Jeffrey Dahmer for one show is going to change his trajectory. I think he's good.
I know for a fact that the kid that played Elvis in the Elvis movie,
yeah,
he had a hard time finding work like a year or two after that movie came out.
You know who else had trouble finding work after they were in a movie was the guy who played Bubba in Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he had that prosthetic bottom lip in the Forrest Gump movie, and everybody really I think everybody thought that was real. Like it was such a good prosthetic that everybody thought that was his actual lip, and then he couldn't, for a while, he couldn't find work. I mean, I've seen him on other stuff. He was on Justified. He's been in other movies, but like for a while, he couldn't find another acting gig.
The same thing happened. Well, I mean, it didn't really affect his career too much, but like Adam Sandler had fake teeth and uncut gems. Like those teeth were not his teeth.
I know shit.
I didn't know if you knew that.
I don't think I saw Uncut Gems, so.
Oh, it's fucking phenomenal. Adam Sandler should have won a goddamn award for that movie.
But I mean, he's got his own studio. You know, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to play in other people's movies.
It's funny we talk about this because my daughter and Chase, who were in my movie this summer, were hanging out today, and we were talking about like critics and all that bullshit. And I'm like, look, fucking critics are just fucking critics. Like no critic has ever given Adam Sandler a good review for any of his movies, but it doesn't matter because his fans fucking love his movies.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
You ever notice that Adam Sandler always gets horrible reviews from critics? But he still goes out there and makes banger movies, and people who love Adam Sandler go watch him anyway. Like they don't care what the fucking critics say.
Yeah, I mean he's had a couple flops, but they either flop initially and become cult classics, or you know his fans will pick it up and love it later. You know, which I mean I don't think he's had that many flops. I think maybe Little Nicky is really the only really big one that didn't do well.
Yeah, Little Nicky. Punch Drunk Love took a couple years to like actually get off its feet.
Yeah.
I remember the Zohan one was pretty controversial because it
dealt with Israel and fucking Palestine.
Yeah, you couldn't do that movie today.
No. That's the same with Tropic Thunder. You couldn't do that fucking movie today.
No fucking way you cannot do that movie again.
Somebody said that Marvel has a chance to do one of the funniest things and have Dr. Doom say that, pull the line out of how he's a dude playing a dude dressed as another dude.
It's wacky.
But all right, I think we should wrap it up here. I think we've gone off the rails quite enough. Not that we started with any this time.
Yeah, but it was a good one, man.
No, Stranger Things was fantastic.
I'm kind of sad it's over. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I think there's an animated series coming out about the kids pretty soon, and then somebody put out a spoof on it. I think it was the actor who played Jim Brewer there, or Jim Hopper. Actor who played Jim Hopper. He put out a spoof, and he gave himself a blonde wig. It was like pretending to be 11. Super funny.
Oh Jesus!
But anyways, all right, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope everybody has a good night, and get out there, find your spirits.
Salud.
They might be at Montauk.